Hello everybody, Average Picker here. Yeah, so if you've been following my channel a little bit, you probably know dimple locks have been kicking my ass. But I was doing, keep picking on this Mul-T Junior, and the top keeps popping off. I don't know why, it just does. Of course, once it comes off one time, it's probably going to come off easier and easier after that. So I'm going to glue it down. But I thought, you know what, before I glue the top down, why don't I just take it apart and take a look at it, because maybe it'll help me a little bit understand dimples a little bit better, at least the Mul-T Junior, and figured might as well film it. A lot of you have probably seen inside one of these, but maybe for those of you that haven't, or are like me and moving into dimples now, it'll give you a little bit of insight or something to see. So yeah, let's drink some mocha and get the Junior apart. Okay, so what I've done is I backed out the top piece just a little bit, enough to get the first pin out so we could have it down in here and we could take a quick look at it. And then I'm going to just show you a couple little things. So this is our driver, and they're all pretty much pin and pins, but you can see it's got a little bit of a spring in there, which is really kind of cool if you think about what it probably takes to set something like that up. I've tried to make on challenge locks spring-loaded pin and pins and been very unsuccessful with it. And then of course here's our key pin, and our key pin also is pin in pin. And if we jog this guy out a little bit, you can see he's slightly nailed, but he's got kind of that enlarged tip, and that pretty much controls him from being able to fall all the way through, and it also kind of helps you figure out which way he goes in. But I thought I would show you this as well about the core. So if you're disassembling one of these and you take the tailpiece off, that tailpiece helps control how far the key will slide in. So without the tailpiece on, the key goes beyond its limit. You can see there. And what this basically means is if you go to gut it and you take the tailpiece off first, and then you put the key in to rotate the core around to run the follower through, you actually have to back this out a little bit. Because if you run it all the way through, it's just going to seem stuck, and you're going to be like, what the hell's going on? But we can see it's lifting those pins up a little bit and get it lined up well. And we're right there at the shear line. So yeah, it's just something a little be cautious of when you're doing it. If you take the tailpiece off first before inserting the key, a little more leeway with a lot of other locks as far as doing that goes. And you can see a little dimple sitting down in there. It's really pretty cool. And here we go with it all disassembled. And I did not take, these all do have the pins in them. I did not take all these pins out. They're pretty much set up the same way. Because I'm operating on this side of the thing, I just figured it would keep it simpler, keep a few in there and just let out two of the pins. You can see these all have kind of a slight bevel on them. Upstairs, so this would be like a standard, and then we've got these outer sheath guys, which are also all sprung as spools. If we take a close-up of the key, see the dimples are cut, but we've also got those little inner pieces on them. There. Little bit, a lot tougher to see on the other ones. Well, there we go. And that's what controls that inner pin. And we've got one loaded. You can see it bounce around there as it rides up and down, and then we don't overshoot. Got a little hair got stuck in it. Cat hair gets in everything. Yeah, you can see how that sits in there and lines up then. Now what I'm most curious about is kind of reading these keys as far as the depth and everything, how that affects it. Popped right in. We want to take a look at what it's going to look like in its at rest state. It's going to be something like that. Now we're getting, remember we've got a spring up here. It's pushing all that down. But you can see what it's doing there. Put another one in, see what happens. Okay, so we're going to do chamber 5. What I'm going to do, I just want to show you, so I'm going to go ahead and just poke him kind of through as far as he will go. But they kind of stick a little bit. But again, if you have a gutting disaster and it's your first time on it, don't freak out too much, because you can see it's pretty much just kind of a standard key pin. So you've got your little bevel down there to allow the pin to ride up and down a lot easier on. And that inner pin, if it's dropping through, has the same thing. And that top, as we pointed out, does have that little lip on it, so it pretty much dictates which way the pin can go in, so there's nothing to worry about. If you have a gutting disaster, as long as you are aware where all the parts went. So we're going to ride this through now. See, approaching chamber 5 there. See him sitting down in there. Okay, so if we look at it from a picking point of view, and I'm going to use, this is a pick Fast Charlie sent me, and he said he had picked a junior with it. And it is pretty good. It's made out of a windshield wiper blade. It's in 40 thousandths, and then I put it in an Honest Dongs pick. So if we go through though, you can see, man, we don't really need to lift. I'm not doing any real turning. And it is pretty much putting that outer sheath bit right there at the shear line just by running that through. Push this all the way up against the side of the lock. That one's through. And if I give it a little rotation, you can see what's happening. I'm pushing that outer sheath more than that inner pin. If we run it all the way down, and that would be the turn. We're getting that one lifted. Let's see, let's get him down in there again. This is hard to do at this angle. I overshot the pin, there we go. We have overlifted him. Should we take a look at it with a different dimple pick maybe? Okay, just kind of grabbed this random one from Sparrows. Push him up against the edge there, see what happens. You can See, he very smoothly, if you're right under it, gets both of those lifted right up to the shear line. Coming in a little bit of a, we need to drop him down. Coming in a little bit of an A, there we go. It's not lit. It's hard to, oh, I poked out the back there. It's hard to find that, just that inner pin on him, especially because that inner pin is a little bit sticky. It's not dropping all the way down through like this guy kind of wants to. So that's the lift right there. And that's the lift right there. So you can kind of see just how subtle that movement is. Okay, well, I'm probably going to keep this apart for a minute and just do a little bit more exploring on it. But hopefully this was somewhat helpful for some of you. I know a lot of you have probably picked these Mul-Ts, and a lot of you have probably gutted these Mul-Ts, and some of you probably are just starting and moving into it. I'm probably going to pull apart one of the cheap Chinese dimple locks very soon too, and then give a little bit of comparison and contrasting of what that is versus the Mul-T Junior, which is pretty much the entry-level Mul-T lock, as far as I know it is. Don't think it goes much lower than that. It might, if you know of Mul-T making a lesser one than the Junior, I guess by all means let me know. But yeah, also, you know, it's always nice to have a video or videos out there of just good, clean close-ups of the pins, especially if it is your first time kind of going at it, and maybe you dump, or you have what happened to me, which is where the top pops off and a lot of parts ended up going everywhere, and then I didn't think about it, and I took it out of the clamp and turned it and stuff fell, just for being able to reassemble it. Lockpicking Lawyer, actually, 2017, I think. If I can find it, I'll put a link in the video. He has a really nice video where he actually picks and guts one. But what's nice is he has also a very nice, clear close-up on those pins and what they look like. And it's always nice when you're trying to get something put back together to have some frame of reference point you can go to. You can do searches, of course, for, you know, Mul-T pins, you know, picked, gutted, whatever, and find some decent stuff too. They have some blow-up cutaways, but some of those could be a little hard to read because they do them at a kind of an angle. So yeah, there we go. Just a little look though at the Mul-T Junior pins, and I don't know if this is really going to help me picking through it or not. Like I said, these dimples, man, it's so much like starting over for me, and this is not. I have to keep reminding myself when I got into picking, it was not something that came super naturally to me. It was something I had to really work at, just because I was used to bigger movements and more, you know, just kind of pushing things around a little bit heavy-handed, more than what lock picking kind of takes. And I have to keep reminding myself that's probably the same thing for these dimples, that the movements are much more subtle probably than what I'm envisioning them being. And that was another reason I figured if I'm going to glue the top down, I might as well give myself a chance to really take a look at it and get the amount of movement it was going to take for picks kind of embedded in my head. So, all right guys, hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. And yeah, have a good one.